So today's question is, was Tiger the GOAT because he's Tiger or because he entered the tour at the right time? So we're talking about rookie Tiger, 20 years old in 2010, joining at the same time as Rory, Ricky, and Jason Day, right? And so for argument's sake, the tour is longer. Everyone trains like an athlete. The distance and aggression that Tiger used and was famous for in 96 is common by the time it's 2010, right? So does Tiger still separate himself, or does he just become one of the greats instead of the great?
Yeah, this is going to be controversial, but I don't think he becomes that Tiger. I think he's still unbelievable, multiple majors, Hall of Fame career, one of the best golfers, but he is not in the GOAT conversation.
So he's Phil Mickelson.
He's a little better than Phil Mickelson. But I guess it depends. Would you consider Phil an all-time great? For me, I don't consider Phil an all-time great.
I think,
but you know, like, but all-time great is just a level below like greatest of all time, right?
Right. Phil is, so I guess what is all-time great? Let's say top 20. Like, I think Phil deserves top, at least a mention in top 20. Like, I don't like Phil, but I think he's worth talking about in top 20 golfers of all time. Just because he did have like a phenomenal career. And the argument, you know, that like if Tiger wasn't there, Phil would have had even a better career, you know, things like that. Although, you know, I don't really buy it all too much, but anyway, so you're saying Tiger doesn't get to GOAT status. He is just one of the greats. So why do you think that? What is your like reason that you don't think Tiger competes as aggressively starting in 2010?
You know, every athlete that reaches kind of this GOAT status, there is a level of perfect timing. You know, Michael Jordan came into the league and saved the league, and the timing mattered. Sticking with basketball, when Will Chamberlain scored 100 points, he cannot do that in modern basketball. Right. Same thing with Babe Ruth. He's considered the GOAT of baseball. Although I think Ohtani will have something to say for it by the end of his career. Babe Ruth played in a completely different league than Major League Baseball is today. And so I feel like Tiger falls a little bit into that. And, you know, credit where credit is due. Tiger created modern golf. His influence played a role in creating it. But for this argument, we are assuming that Tiger effect has already taken place. And so Tiger is entering the tour as just one of the guys in 2010. And in that case, I don't think that he is going to have the impact that Tiger had when he entered in 96. The biggest thing was, you watch old documentaries, especially I think of his first major win, and there are notable golfers who played with him who mentioned that he hit 20 to 25 yards farther. And because of his distance, his approach shot in most of the holes was a pitching wedge, while most of them were pulling out their mid-irons. So there is this awe factor, I think, when a generational talent enters at a perfect time when the league or the sport is not ready for them, and Tiger was that.
Right. I think his rookie year, he like averaged right over 300 yards. Or something along those lines, with the softer balata balls, which weren't flying as far, and he not with the club technology like not being what it is today. And then the tour average then, I believe, was like 275. I looked it up. So he easily has like 25, 30 yards on everybody else, right? It's a 3 club difference at a minimum. Versus in 2010, I think he's still one of the long hitters, but he's not 3 clubs longer. I think he's just like a top 10 distance, if that.
He is definitely top 10 distance, but he's just part of the pack. There's nothing that separates him. And that's what he had. The difference between Tiger and the number 2 player was so great. If Tiger enters the league in 2010, that separation might be there, but it won't be as large. Even if Tiger hits peak Tiger in a few years.
Okay, but this is why I wanted to make sure that we're talking about the same thing, because I get your premise, but I'm going to argue that if he gets to use the modern golf clubs of 2010 and the modern ball, it's not 302 yards or whatever his rookie average was. I think he's at 310. Right?
I don't think so. I
really
would push back.
Going from a balata ball to the modern urethane cover and a bigger head driver, you don't think he gets 10 to 15 yards?
I don't think he gets 10 to 15 yards. I think he gets about like 5 yards.
Okay. I feel like we need to look this one up because
Let's look it up.
Going from one of the old balls and the 96 drivers. Okay, so chat has an answer. Are we allowing chat to be the
Sure, why not?
Okay. So chat says a modern premium urethane ball goes 10 to 20 yards further than a balata ball with a tour level swing. 5 to 10 yard difference for an average golfer.
Okay. But then you are saying that he is going to be hitting 320 and no one has averaged 320 until like Bryson recently.
An average of 310 on the driver still puts him, I believe, number 1 in 2010.
In 2010, he would be number 2.
Who was number 1 in 2010?
There is a gentleman named Robert Garrigus who averaged 315 in 2010, followed by Bubba Watson, who hit 310.
320. Okay. Oh, and then Dustin was on the tour by then.
And then Dustin,
okay, so this is I remember this era. This is like this is when the aggression had already taken root, but it was like it was really starting to show. Like Bubba and Dustin just like blasting him out there. And Bubba with like the crazy curves, what was like all everybody was talking about. Okay, so he's top five drivers at that point.
Yeah.
And you don't think that translates over to him being able to like start a separation of his career in terms of
because there was an intimidation factor with Tiger when he first entered the league. The fact that he was pulling a pitching wedge while someone else. Plus, I know how this feels because I am Tiger among our friends. I hit my drives, and my friends, they're like, "Oh my goodness, you are half a football field ahead of us." There was actually a golfer that we played with. He was a high school golfer. His handicap was much lower than I was. But he drove the ball 240 and I was driving the ball that day 300. And the fact that I was chipping into the green while he was pulling out his 7 or 6 iron played a huge psychological effect on him.
Right.
And I destroyed him. And so that was Tiger when he entered the league, is that intimidation and just the fact that psychologically you have a pitching wedge in while someone has a mid iron in. I know for a fact that played a huge role in the divide that was created between Tiger and everyone else.
Right. Okay. I mean, I can see that. I do think that in general, it may not have been specific to Tiger at that point. It may have been more of a group of guys that kind of had that. Oh, they hit so long. So maybe he doesn't, but I don't think that's the only thing that distinguishes Tiger being GOAT Tiger, right? And really starting his career in terms of where he goes from there. Because over the next 10 years, right? So let's think about from Tiger's rookie year and over the next 10 years, he just got so much better at everything else too, right? So his putting, his green side, and his brush. So I'll give you driver. Maybe he doesn't maintain that average, but his rate of growth in all of the other areas of the game were so good that that's how he turned into GOAT Tiger, right? So I would say that, okay, maybe he doesn't start as dominant as he does, but I think he still is able to, mental game, right? Because he is known for his mental game, but really overall round out the rest of his game and just be more competitive over time. And create a separation by just being a little bit better at everything. So maybe he doesn't have, 82 wins and 15 majors, but I still think he is dominant in wins. And I don't know. I think he still gets, I still think he's in like the double digits majors, which still puts him into the argument of like, is he GOAT territory?
Then the question, I guess, is how many majors does Tiger have to win at a minimum, and how many PGA Tour wins out of the 82 in order for you to still consider him the greatest of all time? Because right now, even his greatest of all time status has an asterisk next to it because he's stopped at 15. And so if let's say that he wins 4 less and reaches 11, he's an all-time great, but he is not in conversation as the greatest of all time versus Jack Nicklaus. He would lose that debate in many, many ways.
Mm-hmm. It's funny. And this might be a whole nother conversation altogether, right? Like who is the GOAT? Because you can argue, I think the main argument is Jack or Tiger.
Yeah.
But then
and there's no other player, right? In that stratosphere.
There's a gap, right? There's a gap, and then it's like Snead, Hogan, Arnold,
Gary Player.
Yeah, right. And I don't know that any of them are like the GOAT, but because and the reason for me, like, that conversation is still worth having, even if Tiger, let's say, has 11 majors and has 72 wins, which would put him third all-time wins. Right? It would be Sam, Jack, then Tiger. So Jack would have Tiger on both sets. I still think Tiger is worth having that conversation because to me, Jack is even more of this, like, he didn't play with a modern competitive cohort, right? He played even more with, like, I think you said this once. He was playing with like plumbers and people who are just they're really good, but they're not like career golfers, right? And that's who Jack was playing with. So for me, like, that's even a bigger asterisk. So I think for Tiger, he still deserves, even if he has, again, 11, 12 majors, 70 to 72 PGA wins, let's call it. I still think he's in the conversation for being the GOAT.
So the number that I came up with,
yeah,
that I think is realistic for Tiger is that I don't think he gets 82 wins. I think he gets 50 to 55 wins. And I don't think he gets 15 majors. I think he gets 8, maybe 10 max. And so let's say that it's on the higher end. He has 10 majors, 55 PGA Tour wins. I can see some people making that comparison of, is Tiger one of the greats? Potentially like in the conversation, but I don't think he would win greatest of all time because at the end of it, the number of major wins would be so separate that it would be hard to make that distinction.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, what is it? Let's call it, you said 55. He's still top 5 of all-time wins. I think he would be number 5. And how many majors did you say?
10? On the high end, 10.
10.
Yeah.
He's still second.
Right.
But it's like 18, 10.
10. Yeah.
Almost double.
Yeah. And let me also bring up one thing.
Okay.
One other thing is, I believe it was 2006. I might be wrong. But remember that they also made a groove change. So while Tiger may have had a deficiency in driver technology, some could argue that he actually had an advantage in groove technology because the grooves were sharper and deeper. And the PGA of America changed that. So instead of it was like a square, and now it's like a V shape. And it made it much harder to hit out of the roughs. Although I think a lot of pro golfers stated that they got used to it pretty quickly. But it was created because Tiger was hitting these crazy rough shots and it was stopping on a dime when it got to the green. And so there is also an argument that he benefited from that groove technology, which was now banned in 2006.
Yeah. Okay. I can see that. I think that's a completely valid argument. And then I'm going to make the counter argument that he had a ball disadvantage for the first 5 years of his career. But he didn't really, because everybody was playing Pilates from until 2000. Right. And everybody was playing the square grooves until they made the rule change. So I think it's more Tiger had an athletic advantage over everybody else. He was just able to do more with his body and with the swing that the average golfer at the beginning just couldn't do.
Yeah. And going back to driving distance, I pulled this up. Who was the distance leader in 96 other than Tiger? Tiger was averaging 297. Second, the distance leader, and Tiger didn't qualify for this because I think he only played in 10 tournaments that year.
Yeah.
But the distance leader was John Daly at 288. And there's a few others that hit 285. Davis Love III hit 285. Fred Couples was 285. But then there is a huge jump down, right? So Tiger hitting 296 is if a golfer came along today and he is averaging 330 or 335 off the deck.
Right, which nobody's doing that.
nobody's, and that's the shock, I think, that, and
Right.
the intimidation factor. Because if someone did that with a above average approach game, wedge game, putting game, that would be a intimidation factor in modern golf to the modern golfers.
Yeah.
But, and that's what Tiger had in 96. And so
Mm-hmm.
I feel that that intimidation factor played a huge, huge role in his dominance early in
Yeah.
his career and through his prime. And he would not
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Okay. I'll give you that. I'll give you that. His distance in his rookie year was such a big thing that it materially laid the groundwork for Tiger becoming Tiger the way that we understand him today. And he doesn't have that in 2010. I get that. I think there's a difficulty here though, because we're saying that the Tiger effect is still in place if he joins in 2010, right? And if you listen to like the early days interviews of like the Rorys and the Rickies and the Jason days, they all talk about watching Tiger growing up and
Yeah.
him like molding their game, right? And the way that they approached the game and like the athleticism. Like you can make the argument that until Tiger, like it was okay for, the golfers to just rip cigarettes and drink, a dozen Diet Cokes on the golf course, like no shade to John Daly. But like that was okay. And they didn't think golfers, other than I think Gary Player, really had to work out, right? Like Gary Player was so
Right.
like weird for really pushing this like working out, being an athlete thing. So this is where I'm like a little torn, because I know we're saying the Tiger effect is in place, but it's like the guys that started in 2010 are already affected by watching Tiger in his early days. That I'm
Well,
like,
if it makes it easier, let's just say that there was Tiger Woods, but then a clone of Tiger, a rookie version, gets plopped into 2010.
okay,
That clone Tiger would not be the Tiger that we know. And because of that argument, I do consider Tiger the greatest of all time. He might not have as many majors, but my biggest thing is between Tiger and Jack Nicklaus, who impacted the game the most? Hands down, it's Tiger. And
Hands
because
down.
of that impact, Tiger is the greatest of all time. But in 2010, in this argument's sake, like a lot of that's already there. So we're really just taking into his performance. Is he able to perform on the course as well as Tiger and still be considered the greatest of all time?
Yeah, I'm going to come at this from a slightly different way, because and this is a little more subjective, a little less measurable, and I fully recognize that. But when I think of Tiger, yes, there's the dominance, especially his distance in early days, and what he did to the field mentally. But I think there's the other aspect of that, which is instead of what Tiger did to the field, there's how much Tiger was able to just have this strong mental game. Right, he was always a closer. Like the story that everybody knows of Tiger's dad would like shake a thing of coins in his pocket, like when Tiger is mid backswing, right, to just train him to focus. And Tiger famously is like can literally stop mid downswing, and just like who does that, right?
Right.
I think that's still there because that's so unique to him. I don't think that you can duplicate that. And his work ethic, right? Very like trained with Navy SEALs, like practices just so much. I think that's still there too. And I'm not saying that other players, especially starting in 2010, don't have that. I believe that they were all practicing more, but I think his willingness to just work on his game, get better, and his mental fortitude in pressure situations, I think that is just unique enough that it still creates a separator for him, and he still maintains a competitive advantage. And for me, I think it's enough that he still gets to, let's call it the 12 and the 70 or the 55, right? The 12 majors and the 55. I think he gets there, if not a little bit more still, just on that factor alone.
I see. Well, I guess that's where we differ in that I agree that Tiger would still be the intense Tiger that we know.
Right.
There could even be the argument that he now has data and science to back him up even more than it did in 96. But so does everyone else. And that's the thing. No one took advantage of those things for the first 8 years of Tiger's career.
Right.
People didn't work out like he did. People didn't look at data, even launch monitor data. everyone has that in 2010. Not everyone even believed in it when it first came out in the late 90s.
Right.
And the technology wasn't that great.
Right.
And so, yes, Tiger could have used it to his advantage, but it also leveled the playing field quite a bit. And it's a deep playing field, which is why I feel if Tiger hits 10 majors, I would be highly impressed. And knowing Tiger, maybe he'll, get another one or two. But is that enough for us to still consider him in the GOAT category as 1A or 1B versus Jack? Now, one of the stats that I did think was interesting to compare is your scoring average. And so the scoring average does take into consideration difficulty as well, right? Difficulty of the course, because the course has got more difficult and longer as the years progressed. And so how does Tiger's early scoring averages compare to the best scoring averages from 2010? And there are years where he would be number one, but there are also years where he would not be number one. And so that in itself, I think, shows the parity in the sport if he were to start in 2010 versus when he started in 96. Because his early numbers, scoring averages like 69.1, 69.2, 68.4, those were all best. And if you take those numbers and put them in 2010, he would no longer be the best.
But so he wouldn't have the single year scoring record, but would he have the average over a longer period?
I mean, his best scores, right? There's the scoring average stat of how Scottie Scheffler hit one of his best scoring average years, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 was still Tiger, right? In that ranking.
Right.
And that was peak Tiger, right? Those 6 years. So he would still have those peak 6 years.
Yeah.
But everything before and everything after is a little different. And that's my biggest contention is I don't doubt he would have reached peak Tiger for a 6-year span. But rookie Tiger, to get to that point, and then once he started to drop off a little bit, he would not be winning as many.
I see. Okay. So you're really talking about, let's call it the shoulders, right? So like ramping up to peak Tiger and coming off of peak Tiger is just not as good. I would agree with that argument. It would have taken him longer, I think, right? And then maybe the drop off would have been faster. But when it comes to like GOAT Tiger, it's that Tiger was so good at everything, to your point, for really a decade, right? And it was 2000 to 2009, and he didn't compete for, I think, 2 of those years or something like that. I think he was injured.
He was injured for one of the years,
right. So really it's like 9 years. And to your point, he still gets 6 years or 6 top scoring years. So if in those 6 years, how many majors is he winning? I think he does get 11 or 12, 2 a year, 1 or 2 a year. Oh, that's aggressive. Actually, as soon as I say it, I'm like, oh, that's really, and this is from, he had the Tiger Slam, right? He won 4 majors in a row.
Right.
But even that, saying like he's winning 50% of majors over a 6-year span seems very aggressive.
So I think really the span is like 99 to 2007, Tiger had some of like the best adjusted scoring averages of all time.
Yeah.
And so let's just take a look at like, I don't remember all of his majors, right? But he did with most of his majors in that span.
Yeah.
From 99 to 2007. Let's see.
I think he won 10 of them, right? If I remember correctly.
So 97, his first major win at the Masters, right?
At the Masters.
My argument would be that he would not have won that. So that's one down.
Okay. So we'll take off. Yeah.
That's one down. Let's see. I'm going to give him his Tiger Slam wins.
Yeah. Right.
Those really aren't arguable. His first PGA Championship win in 99, I would also argue he potentially would not have won that. Because if you compare 96 and scoring averages, he doesn't win the scoring average of that year.
Okay. So you've taken 2 off of the front.
Yeah.
And you have to take off the 2019 Masters.
2019 Masters wouldn't have happened yet, right? if he
Fair.
started in 2010. I also think the 2008 US Open, when he was battling
He
those
doesn't win.
injuries, he doesn't win that.
Okay, so you're at 11 now. If you take
Mhm.
the two off the front and the one off the back and say that the 2019 Masters hasn't happened yet in his career because he hasn't reached that stage, he's at
Yeah.
11.
Yeah.
I mean, I think just being at 11 is still like, and I think here's the thing. So Jack, everybody talks about Jack because he has 18, right?
Mhm.
And then Tiger is like, he was just so dominant in everything. I think just the Tiger Slam in and of itself is such an amazing phenomenon, right? You won
Mhm.
4 majors back to back. The only thing is like it wasn't in a calendar year, right?
Yeah.
But he wrapped to get the Masters to next year. I think having 10 and having a Tiger Slam where you win 4 in a row is just so astounding in terms of a sheer um, statement of dominance
Mhm.
that I think it's still worth a very valid, like, is he the GOAT? Like, I think there's still just so much validity in saying 10 majors, 11 majors, and 4 of them you won in a row.
I mean, I don't think he wouldn't be in the conversation. I just don't think it's as strong.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, because even right now there are doubters. Like for me, obviously, I am wearing Tiger Woods stuff. He is the greatest of all time.
100%.
But even today, there are people that would argue he is not the greatest of all time with 15 major wins, 82 tournament wins. And how many weeks has he been in the number one? I think Scottie Scheffler still has years to go
Yeah.
at number one to catch up.
Yeah.
But that's like that aura. And I think he doesn't have that record of, I forget how many weeks it was at number
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
in, if he started in 2010.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of challengers that are right there. And at the trail end of his career, he would have current Scottie Scheffler to deal with.
Right.
And
So I see where you're going. You're saying like the separation just isn't as great. He's still
yeah.
amazing. The separation's not as good.
Mhm.
He's maybe just doesn't have all of the ridiculous stats that he has today, but he still has like some of the top stats of all time. Does that?
Like I said, he's an all-time great,
Yeah.
but he's
Yeah.
not the greatest of all time.
Yeah. I think it's like for me, even what you're saying is an all-time great. And I think this is where maybe our difference is. Like you saying Tiger is an all-time great, for me, it's like Tiger's still the GOAT with those stats, right? So I'll even give you the stats and the way that you're saying that he is. And I think for me, it's just like and this is, I think, a whole separate thing, right? Like who deserves to say that they're the GOAT, right? This is like Jordan, LeBron, Kobe, right? This is the same argument. It's basically Jack, Tiger, Snead, right? Sam Snead. Is it like
Mhm.
the most majors, the most wins, or is it the guy that just dominated everything for the longest? And I think Tiger has just, even with the adjusted stats that you're arguing for, which I'll give you and I agree with, I think he still has an elevated sense of dominating the game. Maybe not as intimidating as he was as when he started in 96.
Sure.
But I think there's still a sense of dominance in his win rate, his expectation to win, and the number of majors he's still walking away with over that time period, that it's still like, God, it's Tiger Woods. He's still the GOAT, at
Yeah.
least for me.
I think in terms of basketball, I think that's kind of the perfect analogy is the Tiger Woods today is Michael Jordan. Undeniable, greatest of all time to most people, right? If Tiger starts his career in 2010, he becomes Kobe Bryant. And Kobe Bryant, no one other than people in LA consider him the greatest of all time. I don't consider him the greatest of all time. And I grew up as a Kobe fan in that era. He is not the greatest of all time. But I think that's what Tiger would be. Tiger would be an all-time great, but he would not be able to compete with Michael Jordan or become Michael Jordan.
Wow, I can't believe you say Kobe does not deserve to be in the
He's not, unfortunately. Yeah.
I mean, look, I grew up as a New Jersey Nets fan, so like I couldn't care less about Kobe, but I still think he deserves a spot in the conversation.
I mean, deserving a spot in the conversation, I think, is different. He wouldn't win the conversation.
That's fair.
I don't think anyone that is unbiased can make the argument strongly that he is the greatest of all time when he is essentially a carbon copy of Michael Jordan, and Jordan has 6, Kobe has 5, and also the number of MVPs, the global impact in the sport of basketball, and that's what I'm arguing. Tiger would not have those things in golf that he did because he started in '96.
Interesting. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, it's funny you say all those things because my argument is actually like, oh, Kobe had Shaq, right? And like Shaq in and of himself was so dominant in the game that it's like Jordan is elevated because he didn't have a Shaq. Like, was Pippen amazing? Yes. Was Kerr amazing? Yes. But he didn't have a Shaq, right? And I'm trying to find the analogy for what that would mean for Tiger, but I don't think there is one.
Well, Shaq is his distance advantage.
Oh, I see. I see what you're saying. So if you don't have Shaq and you're still able to do it, that makes you amazing. But he did have. Okay. I mean, I buy that. I'm still going to disagree, right? Like, even if we take so much away from Tiger, I think there's, and you know, I know this is all conjecture and for fun, but there's so many arguments that I can make. Like, if he starts in the 2010s, he doesn't train as hard, or he trains smarter because the science is better, right? So he doesn't get these like crazy injuries that have sidelined him. So I think he has more longevity. I'm still acknowledging he's not as dominant on distance. He doesn't get as much of that intimidation factor, so he's not winning as much. But I would argue over time, he has a longer sustained career that doesn't have the same highs and lows that 96 Tiger has.
Well, if Tiger started in 2010, he would be in his 16th year right now.
Yeah.
So we would kind of be in 2012 Tiger, where he is still one of the best in the world. It's really after 2013 when he really started to
suffer,
and injuries. Because after this 2012 season, he only has 8 wins.
Right. And one major over the next 11 years. Yeah.
And so we've kind of reached that prime Tiger. The fact that he even won so many in this small like sample size, the 16 years, is in and of itself, right? In the conversation. But yeah, I think it'd be tough for me to say like he is GOAT. But and like I said, he has Scottie Scheffler right now to compete with. So that'll be very tough. Scottie Scheffler, Rory, who has really hit his stride, Brooks Koepka, who came back to no.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how he does. It's just fascinating that because the argument when people think about Phil, like Phil's not in the GOAT conversation, right? Phil for a while was just like also an amazingly dominant golfer, and he overlapped with peak Tiger, right? It's just in that time, and I think this is part of the argument that you're making too, right? Like if Phil didn't have Tiger, right? If Tiger actually was 2010 and Phil was able to do the late 90s and early 2000s with no Tiger, does Phil get to GOAT status?
No. But that would be an interesting topic for another episode, is how would we see Phil differently if Phil didn't have Tiger Woods?
Right.
Whether it's your first time here or you're a regular listener, thanks for joining us and welcome to the Off TRAQ podcast, where we talk all things golf from an amateur point of view. I'm Charles. That's Roy. We're 2 golf-obsessed tech guys, and we're currently working on our own golf company. Make sure to click subscribe or follow on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts so you don't miss an episode. Also, follow us on our socials at TRAQ Golf on Instagram and TikTok.
All right, let's go on to what is going on in the world of golf today. Patrick Reed is leaving the LIV Tour. So former Masters champion Patrick Reed, or as I like to call him, Fatrick Reed, announced he's departing LIV and plans to return to the PGA Tour as soon as he's eligible. And right now, he qualifies because I believe he's second on the DP World Tour and top 10 on the DP World Tour qualify for PGA status. He doesn't qualify for amnesty because he doesn't have a major in the last 4 years. He still does not get to participate in the PEP, and he is still going to be penalized, but he still has claimed he's coming back, and it's all because he says he has a quote-unquote preference for traditional formats. Your thoughts?
I'm actually surprised that he's still going to be penalized, because him going through the DP World Tour is another route to get into the tour itself. And so if he is not able to join the tour until, I think it's like August, right? August or October, because that's when the DP World Tour would end a few months before that. Why is he being penalized at all? He's actually going through one of the routes to get into the tour legally.
Yeah, I think the penalty comes from how he left the tour, left PGA Tour to join LIV, not necessarily that he wants to come back to LIV altogether, if I'm not mistaken. But I agree with you. It's weird. It's still weird. Yeah. And I think this is just kind of like the PGA Tour is still giving everybody an FU for going to LIV, and kind of like you get a little bit of a slap on the wrist if you're wanting to come back.
I actually think Patrick Reed leaving LIV is a bigger hurt for LIV, because Patrick, whether you love him or hate him, he has still performed pretty well at the majors. And he was also, just from a personality standpoint, someone that LIV was able to sell. And they did put him on a lot of marketing. He wasn't quite the face, but he was kind of like that secondary personality that was always there. So I think this is going to hurt LIV a little bit, because they're not getting anyone to replace him that is at his caliber.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I actually think it'll be better for the tour as well, the PGA Tour, even though I just really don't like it. I can't tell you why, but I really don't like it. But I think the PGA Tour needs that a little bit. They need the villains. They need the villains that are going to play well. I don't know if he's going to play well, but there has to be more storyline than just like, I don't know who this golfer is, and they're currently in first place. And that's what it's felt like for the last few years. So I'm going to say it's a good thing, even though I really just despise him and his game and his whole attitude that he has at the Ryder Cups. But just other than that, good thing for the tour. Second, Brooks Koepka. Do you think he's going to play well? Is it too soon to say based off of his whole return and everything? Or do you think this is kind of the start of Brooks's, comeback tour?
I mean, when we were talking about this at a previous episode, I said he has a daunting task right ahead of him to even qualify for the signature events. And right now he's playing at the Farmers Insurance Open at Torrey Pines, where he's won before, and he is struggling. He barely made the cut. Right now he is tied for 56th at 2 under, 4 under for the entire tournament. I think he's actually done. And so it was a rough outing for him, and he wasn't playing lights out at LIV anyways, and he wasn't showing up at the majors. So if you just take a look at all of his play for the last 2-3 years, there was nothing that showed me that he was gonna all of a sudden come to the tour and be top 10 on the list.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think, just as we were kind of talking about with Tiger and where was the peak of his career versus the quote unquote shoulders, I'm kind of wondering, is Brooke not antiquated? He's not old. It's not that he's, just so irrelevant at this point, but is he past his era of quote unquote dominance? And is he kind of on the decline? And he might still show up. He might still win a few majors, but it's not going to be like what we saw when he was winning. What is he? He won 2 or 3 in a year. I don't know that he ever shows up like that again. Mm-hmm. I will say, though, that making the cut, 56th isn't that impressive, but making the cut on your first tournament back, that's not nothing, right? That is something that I think is still worth giving credit to.
And he is saying that his body is healthy for the first time in forever. And he did have a lot of injury issues before he jumped to LIV. And he's saying all the right things. He's saying the love for the game is back. He's back in major mode. Yeah, and I don't need him to win, but I do need him to look a little dangerous, like you said, so that there is relevance to his return, that there is another storyline. I don't even mind there being this pseudo tour versus LIV effect on the tour because of Brooks and Patrick Reed coming back. So yeah, like you said, I just want golf to be more interesting overall.
Yeah.
And he does provide that, but not when he's tied for 56th.
That's totally fair. And then lastly, the WTGL. So Tomorrow Sports and the LPGA Tour are announcing the women's version of TGL, which will start on the next off season. They're going to be playing out of SoFi Center in Florida. So far, Gino, Charlie Hall, Lydia Ko, Brooke Henderson, Lexi Thompson have all committed. Right, so a lot of the names that we've seen for the last few years in the LPGA, but Nelly Korda came out, and I'm not gonna lie, the only reason I even knew about this was because I follow Nelly, and she said she's disappointed because they should have done a co-ed league instead of creating a women's only league. TGL already not doing so great. Should it have been the move to create a co-ed, or was this a bad idea altogether?
I personally love Nelly's idea of there being co-ed. I think it brings viewership from two different leagues into one. Plus, I think it really showcases how great some of these women actually are. Because as amateur golfers, we should be watching women's and following their swings, not PGA players. So I do think this is a missed opportunity. But at the same time, TGL, I stopped watching TGL. Like it's become a bit boring for me. I'll watch highlights, but I have stopped watching it in the actual broadcast format. A part of this also is if TGL is struggling, I don't think the WTGL is going to perform better. And so unless they do something different in the format or if they give more access, there has to be something different. If it's the same formula, I don't think the WTGL is a win.
100%. I want to like the TGL, but I don't. And I don't even watch the highlights anymore. But to your point, I think there has to be something different about the format altogether. But I agree. Nelly's idea was fantastic. I don't know if it's too late at this point, but they should seriously go back and consider. Okay, I mean, that was the wrap-up of golf for this week.
As always, today's episode is brought to you by TRAQ Golf, the training system designed to help you practice like the pros. The TRAQ spray shows you exact strike patterns on turf or grass. It also allows you to do drills just like the pros that you wouldn't dream of doing with alignment sticks. And the blueprint helps you build structure into every session. Together, they take the guesswork out of practice so you can actually improve faster. Find out more at traqgolf.com. That's TRAQ golf.com.
For our last segment, I wanted to do something a little bit different, and I am going to have you do a blind ranking.
Okay.
But the blind ranking is worst feelings in golf. So here's how it's going to work. I'm going to give you 10 things. As I give them to you, you have to tell me where they rank. Once you say the number, it is locked. And that's where it stays. And you have to figure out where else you want to put things down.
Okay.
So the first one is you hit your perfect shot and then it takes a really bad bounce.
Oh, that does suck. That does, especially on drives where I know it went like 300 plus. Mm-hmm. And then you go to that area and it's not there. And you start to wonder, was I wrong? Like, did it only go like 280? And I start like backtracking and it's nowhere to be found. Yeah. Oh, that is up there. I feel like there's going to be worse things. So I'm going to give that a 4.
Okay. So number 2, you hit the perfect drive and then you duff your second shot.
That has Charles written all over it many, many times because the driving was my strongest part of the game. And so I'll drive it 310. I have like a 75 shot in and I chunk it and it goes like 5 yards. Oh my gosh. For me personally, that is up there because I have personal pain.
I feel like I hit a trigger point here.
Yes. I'm going to say that's 2.
Ooh, okay. Number 3 is thinking you should have reset the moment you start swinging.
Oh, man. This is for every golfer. But not all of them have turned out horribly for me.
Okay.
So I'm going to give that a 9. Plus, it's a great excuse.
Yeah,
I should have reset.
Yeah. Number 4, you have the chipping yips.
Yes, I am also very familiar with this. The chipping yips, though, it's frustrating. I'll put that right in the middle at a 5.
I mean, I feel like for chipping yips, that's like the story of my life. So
But because it's like the chipping yips is not something that just happens on one hole. You kind of feel that throughout the round. So
Yeah.
eventually you become kind of numb to it.
I don't know. I feel like my anxiety grows. Like when I'm like chipping really bad, it gets worse. And then it's like a death spiral, right? Of chipping. But next, number 5 is you have a 5-footer on 18 for the match.
And you miss it?
No, you just have it.
Or you just have it.
You just have it.
Oh, that's a great feeling. That's 10.
That's 10. Okay.
Because it's for the match.
Yeah.
And so if you miss, you still tie. And you're not gonna 3-putt a 5-footer.
Okay. I mean, we've seen some people do that. On that note, number 6 is lipping out a must-make putt.
Oh, that is up there. That is up there. But I already used 2, 4, 5,
9, and 10.
I'm gonna put that at 3. That is a horrible feeling, but I think there's gonna be something worse than lipping out a must-make.
Okay, so number 7 is snap hooking a tee shot out of bounds.
I've done that so many times, it's not that bad. Because you still have a chance to recover. And
it's
that
OB.
It's OB.
It's OB.
Out of bounds, you said.
Yeah.
Out of bounds. Well, that still happened to me too. Okay, I'll put that at a 7. It's definitely bad, but because it happens so often, again, you kind of, you're like,
You're numb to it.
Yeah.
Your soul has already died a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, number 8. You flush a shot and it sails over the green.
Oh. Is it because you got the yardage wrong? Or is it because
you hit an amazing shot? It's the perfect shot. You flush it, and for some reason, maybe the wind picked up a little bit, maybe your yardage was a little off, but it just goes over the green.
That's like a 50-50 because you still flushed it.
Yeah,
that pure feeling.
Yeah.
I'll put that at an 8.
Okay, but the betrayal, it's like you did so well. Okay, along those lines, number 9. You're flushing everything. You're hitting everything amazing. Your ball striking is so good, and you get bogeys or worse on every single hole.
Oh, that is not a good feeling. Right now, I only have 1 or 6.
Yep.
Oh, is that the worst feeling? That might be the worst feeling. If you feel like you're you're hitting every shot well, but you're just not scoring. For me, that's very frustrating because we talked about last episode, my sole purpose for golf is to score well. So if you think you're doing everything right, but you're not scoring, I would be so confused and lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's your number 1. You're flushing your shots.
I'll put that at number 1. And then number 6.
Number 6 is you are hitting gers and nailing your approach shots and keep getting 3-shot bogeys. Or 3-putt bogeys.
Oh my gosh, that's the worst. That is the worst. Oh, I should have swapped them. That is horrible.
I kind of felt like that last one would actually be your number 1. So.
Yeah, that is the worst. That is the worst feeling, especially these days, because I feel like my game is kind of rounding out where I don't have horrible shots.
Yeah.
And if I have a bad shot, I could still kind of recover. And in the last round, I had a few 3-putts. Because I'm also kind of getting used to the lab. The roll is one thing, especially from lag, that I'm struggling with a little bit getting a hang of it. And that was like the worst feeling. And so, yeah, I hate 3-putts.
So obviously that would have been your number 1. Anything else that you regret?
Yeah, 6 is definitely the worst, the 3-putting. And then the other one that you hit a perfect shot, but like the bounce was wrong. Was that number 4?
Yeah,
I think that should be further down on the list because you still hit a perfect shot.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not your fault. It's not your fault.
Yeah. I think those are the ones that I get frustrated but not angry. Right? The ones that are my fault are the ones that I like straight. I'll get like angry. Like, it's just. I saw a reel. My wife sent it to me where it was this woman saying like, I think a lot of wives would be a lot more okay if their husbands went golfing if they saw them. It's like, imagine this grown adult just yelling at himself and cursing at himself and being like, Steve, you idiot. Like, you can't even hit a ball.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, yeah. And I was just like, yeah, all of us do that at some point. I was like, but that happens when I'm bad. the frustration happens when it's like, bad luck that's happening out on the course.
Mm-hmm. Was this a list that was pre-made, or did you make this for me? Because I feel like a lot of these are things that have pained me in the past.
Well, I think these things have pained every golfer in the past. But I tweaked the list to be more for you.
Okay. That hitting a perfect drive and missing that second shot. Oh my goodness. How many times have that happened? And it's always the worst when people are in awe of your drive.
Yes.
They are like, that is the farthest drive I've ever seen. I've never seen someone hit their second shot from this part of the hole.
Yes.
And then I chunk it.
Yeah. I mean, it is to the point, and just so our viewers know, like, I think this has happened to both Charles and myself so much that we actually changed the way we practice on the range. Where we actually, before I had a kid, I don't know if your first was around when we were doing this, maybe. But we would go to the range, and like the last third of our buckets, we would go driver, wedge, right? It was never like one in a row, and we would actually play holes in pretend so that we would get used to this change in swing and cadence and everything. But it's like, God, when that happens, and I think it's worse when it's a chunk. Like I can almost live with like, a missed aim, or like, it's like short or whatever. But like when you just chunk it and it goes like 30 yards, it like just dribbles out. Like I'm just like those are the times where I like just want to throw my club and I'll just be like, I'm done with this game. Yeah. This is a fun round now.
And earlier we talked about how there is that psychological advantage of you out driving someone else by like 50, 60, 70 yards.
Yeah.
But it actually hurts you if one of those guys knocks down their shot to within like 5 feet. Now there's added pressure on you because you hit so much further. You have like a 70-yard chip shot in. Yep. And so you got to make the green.
Yeah.
And there was a part in my golf journey where I wasn't hitting a lot of, gers. And so that I think added additional pressure, and that probably, and the fact that I had to wait for, 3 other guys to hit. But I think that definitely, you can definitely take over practice swings, and that has haunted me quite a bit in the past.
Yeah. Especially with the way that some of our friends play. I mean, not the guys that we've been playing with recently, I think, but there are some friends where it's like, they would be on like their third or fourth shot by the time it got to like our drives, and it's like, I'm not criticizing the skill, because like everybody has their journey, and I love, just the people we play with. They're just fun people to hang out with. But it's like, if you're going to take 4 shots to get to where we are on our first, like you just got to go faster. And I feel like that just knocks you off of your rhythm so much, right? At least that's the excuse that I'm going to use for chunking my second shots. But
Well, I'm curious. Obviously, the entire list, but what are your two or three worst out of this list of 10?
Yeah, mine is also, you hit the perfect drive and you mishit the second shot.
Is that your worst? Like that's
my
number
worst.
one?
That's number one. I think that just aggravates me so much. That I just stop, like, and I still have fun, right? But that's when I'm just like, it starts feeling like, God, I'm wasting this round. Like it's, like that just feels like the stupidest mistake to make. And then I think for me, the second is when I start getting the chipping yips, right? Because my chipping is like, I think streaky is not even the right word, because that would kind of insinuate that I have good streaks. It's like bad or like really bad streaks, right? And when I feel just lost on what I'm supposed to be doing with my short game, and I get into like a death spiral, it makes me do like stupid things, like pull my putter out when I'm still like 40 yards off the green, and it's not like a tightly mowed course, So I think for me, just like that, like fear of like blading one over the green is just like it'll ruin how I feel about playing the rest of the rounds. So like that one to me is like a solid number 2.
Yeah, and that's tough, because I feel like whenever I have a huge break from golf, which you've had lots of breaks this past year, chipping is the first thing to go.
Yeah.
It's not your drive, it's not your approach shots. They're not great either, but the part that drastically worsens is your chipping and
Yeah.
touch around the greens. So
Yeah.
that's a tough one.
Yeah. Like if we hopefully get to play this week, it's like I have no idea what my chipping is doing right now. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll be fun still, but
Yeah. Do you have one more?
outside of that, I think they're all pretty even. No, I take it back. I think when I snap hook one OB, because it's OB, right? Where it's like if you mishit your drive a little bit, but it's still in play, then I feel like you can still salvage the hole in some way, right? But if you snap hook one OB, A, you're sitting 3, and B, you're probably like still 250, 300 from the green. And so you're lucky if you're on in 4. So like, you like getting a bogey at that point is like a miracle. You're probably getting a double, right? The way that the average person, me, plays, right? So I think for me, it's like knowing right off the bat that I'm getting a double bogey on this hole. It's just it's like depressing, right? And so I think that one kind of annoys me too.
But that 3-putting, I hate 3-putting these days, especially as someone who puts arm lock.
Yeah,
I feel like if you hit 3 putts, like it's all on you because your stroke even is pretty consistent with an arm lock. So it's all just like a mental breakdown, or like I grossly misread something. And I know after I hit a putt, like that was all on you. And it was a stupid mistake. And so that's why I just hate 3 putts.
That's interesting. I mean, they're not fun, but I don't think I quite hate them as much as you do. Maybe it's because for me, I'm just more used to them. I'm just like, that's inevitable. All right. Well, that wraps it up for this week. Thanks, everybody, for joining. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow on your favorite podcast platform. And check out our Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Track Golf. That's enough getting off track. May your mulligans be many and your 3 putts be few.